These just keep getting better and better. Godzilla Kong: The New Empire is absolutely everything I wanted it to be. Continues to pay its respect to the original series as well as develop its own identity. This review is going to be a little bit different because the movie just came out. Also, I can't really show as many clips because, you know, I don't have the Blu-ray on hand. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the story. So we do get consistent characterization of Kong. He's feeling lonely and he's yearning to find a family of his own. Also, note the scarring on Kong's chest from his battle with Godzilla. I'm a sucker for continuity. Godzilla's out and about doing his thing, fighting other titans. Godzilla looks slimmer in this one, and he's now freakishly agile compared to the first movie in particular. There's an internal debate in the Monsterverse community. Some advocate for realism, others just for fun. I'm personally on the side of keeping the films fun and fresh, so upping the speed of the battles is fine by me, even if it's not realistic. Kong comes to the surface. Poor fella's got an infected tooth. Gia can feel Kong's suffering. Eileen is here too, still running operations. A new character, Trapper. This movie's substitute for Dr. Lind. In my opinion, he's actually a much better character than Dr. Lind, more charismatic. When Kong is all fixed up, Eileen, Gia, Trapper, Bernie go to Hollow Earth. Kong stumbles across this little guy. Suko is his name. Kong tries to be nice, but he's ambushed by Suko and a bunch of other giant apes. He spins around, picks up Suko, and uses him as a weapon, like the Hulk in the Avengers. It's so fucking funny, holy shit. Kong wins the fight, and Suko actually stays with him as they venture forth. Seeing him accompanied by a smaller ape and wielding this axe, pretty major God of War vibes. I know I'm not the first person to say that, and I'm definitely not going to be the last. It just has to be said. The humans are making their way to the distress signal, and it's another Iwi settlement, more of Gia's people. Kong gives Suko some food, and a bond is established between them. This scene is actually adorable. This is exactly what I wanted. It gets better, trust me. Stick around. Suko brings Kong to all the other giant apes, all performing some sort of manual labor, not the normal willing kind of labor, mind you. This doesn't look like a very healthy work environment. What threw me? Probably the heads on spikes. That might have been it. The leader, the Scar King, jumps down from his throne. Kong and Scar King get into a brawl. Kong actually starts getting the better of him, so Scar King pulls the ace out from his sleeve. He brings out Shimo, a giant reptilian titan, not too dissimilar from Godzilla. Scar King is able to forcefully control Shimo with the crystal attached to the end of his bone whip. So Shimo is technically a prisoner to Scar King, or a slave, just like the rest of the apes, seemingly. He freezes Kong's hand, giving him frostbite. This is a fight they cannot win as Kong is injured. Kong runs away, but is backed into a corner a little further down the line. When all hope seems lost, all the giant apes are crushed under falling boulders. And who caused the falling boulders?
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
They recreate the finger touch scene. Love the significance of that in both movies it appears in. Trapper goes and grabs a prototype augmentation from one of the Hollow Earth outposts. He fits the Beast Glove to Kong, which injects him with something that fixes the frostbite on his hand, as well as giving his punch a little extra kick. The plan is for Kong to go to the surface and call Godzilla down to help fight Scar King and Shimo. Godzilla bursts out of the ice, showing this new pink form he's got going, and begins travelling towards his next target. When they come face to face, round 4 commences. Kong actually overpowers Godzilla this time with the help of his new Beast Glove. He knocks him out and tries dragging him back to Hollow Earth. In the meantime, while all this has been happening, the humans down with the Iwis have been discussing the prophecy of an Iwi from Skull Island being the one to finally reawaken Queen Mothra. You can see where this is going. Gia is the one to reawaken Mothra, and when she flies to the surface, she is able to instantaneously create a truce between Godzilla and Kong. Now, they're on the same side. Gia is able to communicate with both Kong and Mothra now. Very similar to the twin fairies that accompany Mothra in the older movies, except now much more developed with a richer backstory. Some might say this is shoehorned in, but shut up. This is awesome and an amazing way to give extra meaning and worth to Gia. Scar King breaks into the Iwi settlement. Godzilla and Kong charge together. Kong jumps onto Godzilla's back and then pounces towards the Scar King. We get this awesome shot where Godzilla is charging at Shimo. Kong and Scar King are leaping towards each other. Suko's out here throwing rocks!
Look out!
The fight is taken to the surface, but Kong loses his axe on the way in. I can't put into words how satisfying it is to see Kong knock one of Scar King's teeth out and then flex his own tooth, doing this sort of playful snarl. I love when the monsters are able to show a little bit of sass, a little bit of personality. This movie's awesome, man. Godzilla takes on Shimo quite convincingly. Frost ain't good for Kong, but Godzilla takes that shit in his stride like it's no one's business. Godzilla rips the crystal from Scar King's whip, and there's a struggle, but eventually it's actually Zuko that comes in clutch with the axe to destroy the crystal.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Releasing Shimo of his mental containment, Kong and Godzilla play volleyball with the Scar King. And then Kong smashes him to bits. Our quartet of good kaijus reign victorious. Going back to the humans, Eileen comforts Gia and insists that she will support her if she decides to stay with the Iwis, but Gia is somewhat confused. She reminds Eileen that her home is with her. They stay together. The movie ends with Zuko on Kong's shoulder, riding Shimo back into the Scar King's territory. Kong lets out a victorious roar, as does Zuko. It's not stated, but I imagine Kong is going to take the place of the Scar King. Basically everything that I wanted from this movie, I was given. Gia is still the human lead, and a fantastic one at that. All the way through my review of Godzilla vs. Kong, I was singing Kaylee Hottle's praises. Her performance was excellent in that movie, and just as good in this one. We don't get as many emotional scenes with her, at least not from her perspective. A lot more of the emotion stems from Eileen, and a great performance from Rebecca Hall too. Bernie is back, and frankly, a better fit here. More Doug too. Very briefly, but I'll take it. Kong and Godzilla got their authentic win. We got Mothra back, which I wasn't expecting at all, really. They didn't bring Madison or Mark back, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like I had previously mentioned, it is probably quite expensive keeping Millie Bobby Brown on at this point in her career. And the character's use had kind of expired at this point in the story anyway. In my original discussion video, I said that it would be a wasted opportunity if Kong and Zuko didn't develop a bond in this movie, and they absolutely did. I also wanted more screen time for the kaijus, and I feel like it was a 50-50 split between the monsters and the humans in this movie. Also, regardless of screen time, the monster and the human story is intertwined anyway. And it's very, very natural because of the already established bond between Gia and Kong. The fighting is faster and more fierce in this one. Also, the fights are at consistent points throughout the movie, so for all the people that only went to see it for the fights, they get their dose regularly, and with plenty visual variety. We see the monsters in Brazil, Egypt, Gibraltar, and Italy. The final fight is in broad daylight with the sun beaming down. They just keep getting further and further away from the Muto fight in the 2014 movie. To me, what this showcases is an open line of communication between the producers and the fan base. We ask and we receive. The series can only go up from here. We now effectively have a Son of Kong equivalent. Godzilla is kinda friendly now because we have Mothra as the peacekeeper. This film is so good, the Monsterverse could end here and I would be satisfied. I'd be kind of upset because there's still so many directions the series can go in, but it's effectively given the human characters full completed arcs, as well as Kong having finally found a family. Godzilla doesn't really need an arc, he's always going to be that way, that's just how he is. We also see probably the highest amount of random side monsters in this one. There's these flying black and yellow thingies, a pack of wolves chase Kong at the start of the movie. The main villain, Scar King, is just this cracked out evil lanky Kong with his gangly arms and whip. He's the perfect evil counterpart to Kong. The movie is just under 2 hours, but it doesn't even feel like it's that long. This movie is just good. What can I say? It's just a good movie, man. If the series did end here, which it definitely won't, but if it did, at least it ended on a high note. It might just be recency bias talking here, but I think this is the best one so far. Yeah, probably the best one overall. Maybe Skull Island still has the better human story, but I love Eileen and Gia, and this is their movie, so what can I say? I fully 100% wholeheartedly endorse this movie. Go see it if you haven't. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.